All right, moving on to city business of the city council reports, beginning with Councilmember Boomgarden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In keeping with your request to report out on the meetings that we attended and the highlights of those meetings, I attended a meeting in preparation for the cap-to-cap visit. I've been asked to sit on the Public Safety Committee. The 6 items or 5 items that we are taking back to Washington, D.C. are the following. Local government response to catastrophic incidents. This is a request that we'll be making on behalf of the Sacramento region cities for funding to enhance disaster or emergency preparedness. Mobile crisis response teams. This is an effort in the Sacramento region that teams mental health professionals with law enforcement to deal with some of the homeless situation. The impetus of that is that the mental health professional can sometimes de-escalate a situation that involves the police or law enforcement's interaction with a person, a transient or a homeless person. Urban area security initiative. These are situations where we're again asking for funding for security initiatives. A wireless early warning opt-out. And that sounds like a misnomer. You're thinking they can opt out. It's actually you have to opt out of the system instead of the current situation or the current right now you have to opt in. So, for instance, the emergency notification systems, even the ones we have here locally, you have to go online and indicate that you want to participate. The effort here is that everyone who has a mobile phone would be opted in, and you would have to opt out of that. And the effort there is to make sure that more people are notified. And the last one here is the public safety responders and psychological assistance. Lots and lots of information out there right now about post-traumatic stress for our first responders. This would be a regional effort to provide support for any first responder, and that's not just police and fire. That could be public works, that could be any of our city family that has to respond to a traumatic incident, and that's funding to increase that effort. There'll be more meetings before we head back, which will be accompanying on the committee with myself, our couple of electeds, but also high-level police and fire representatives from the Sacramento region. Attended the builders and developers meeting yesterday that the city hosts. Found it to be quite interesting and informative. Some of my other colleagues here also attended. Builders and developers have some significant and valid concerns in regards to the city's efforts to assist them in what they do. Of course, the city also has its interests in regards to making sure that building and development happens in an orderly fashion and helps at least pay some of its way. There were some takeaways from staff. I'm not going to go into the details of that, but it was a good interaction, and I give great kudos to Diana Langley, our interim city manager. She facilitated the meeting, and you did a great job. This morning I attended the Government Affairs Committee, which is hosted by the Chamber of Commerce. This is an effort by the Chamber to be more involved or informed about issues involving local and state government. Attendees include city representatives, county representatives, and then representatives from our state and federal elected officials. Today's highlighted presentation dealt with the United Chamber Advocacy Network, which is basically an effort to unite chambers of commerce as they can go and advocate for issues in Sacramento on the political level. Those are the meetings I went to. I will also make this comment. We're in a position now where we're rapidly approaching the city's budget process. And you've heard me speak here, and I will continue to speak about some of the concern that I have in regards to the financial situation. It's certainly not dire, but it demands attention. We have a lot of public groups that are coming to us now, and you heard some tonight, in requests for funding. My personal opinion on that is those should be considered at the same time that we're getting requests from our own city. The reason for that is they need to be measured up against the essential services that this city was designed to provide. It's not an intent to deny any funding for any of these agencies. They're doing some fantastic things, but as we need to make difficult decisions in regards to the city's budget, I think that those requests should be coming in at the same time. The last thing I have is just a follow-up question, and I was just wondering, and I guess this goes to you, Diana. Was there any follow-up, or has there been any follow-up yet in discussions with Beale Air Force Base about the Beale Gate? Or is there something that we can do to help that? Because that is a significant deterrent to folks from the air base to come into and shop and dine in Yuba City.
I'm not aware of any follow-up, but we can make sure to do that.
I think we probably need the concurrence of the rest of the council, but
I can tell you that I did follow up.
perfect.
The answer that I received was it was a staffing issue, and they did traffic studies, and they did, there's also plans for a potential future plan of a new gate in a more centralized location at one point. And they did studies on not only the manpower and the fatigue and whatnot on staff. They simply don't have the staff to man that many gates all the time. They also, again, they did a study. It was versus the Doolittle Gate and the travel times between the Doolittle Gate and, say, for example, the intersection of Hamilton-Smartville and North Beale Road versus driving around. If you're familiar with the base, you have to go way south before you come back north to where the infrastructure is. The timing was almost identical. So that was the answer I received.
Thank you.
Yep. You're done?
I am.
You're done. All right. Councilmember Espindola.
Okay, take off my glasses so I can read. I'm going to be joining our mayor and Councilman Boomgarden to the Cap to Cap, and I'm on the workforce and education team. As I get more information on that, I'll share it as well. On March 20th, I was able to be on 93Q, and I think they're going to invite several other council members to kind of talk about the process. And okay, so if I take my glasses, I can't see. If I put them back on, I can see you. Now I know how you feel, Mayor. So that with the glasses on and off, that having the opportunity to speak about the different things that we're doing here on the council. So that was really interesting. On March 20th, I had an opportunity to meet with GH, the president of Yuba College. And so exploring different courses and training opportunities to work on some projects with him along, perhaps with Beale Air Force, and trying to help out with some of those areas. On March 26th, we had the opportunity to go to actually a dinner. There was Councilman Cardosa and our interim city manager on the Sacramento Area Council of Governments, and I know both you gentlemen participate in that monthly meeting, I believe, and it was really interesting. It was a good presentation. Learned lots. My two takeaways from that particular presentation is on the green means go, which I found really interesting because it really it talks about establishing local jurisdictions where the infill problems are and the capacity to that, and then planning transportation and corridors and those kinds of things around the different parts of our community. And that was quite an interesting learning, and it was also Board of Supervisors were there, Sutter County Board of Supervisors, and staff. So it was an opportunity for most of us to be in that room and hear what we think about the sustainable communities projects in the region. The other thing was the prosperity plan. The prosperity plan was talking about future industries and jobs. And so in that, learning about the different kinds of potential work in our area. And it landed on two particular industries, food and agriculture and healthcare. And in that potential growth, it's looking at from 2040 where our area is heading towards. So it looks like we have some growth potentially to happen here in this community, and that was extremely pleasant to hear, because some of the times we're not hearing exactly that. I did attend on March 29th, the Yuba City Transit Authority to help Councilman Shaw had another commitment, so I have nothing to report. It was just the general agenda items on the agenda for that day. And lastly, one of the things which I'll share with the rest of the council and forward on in an email is that I asked to look at what types of industry jobs do we have here in Yuba City and Sutter County. And the reason I'm curious about that is to help with the workforce, in particular going to this cap-to-cap networking or conference. I don't know exactly. I'm going to be learning. And in that report, I received a report from, let me get to it, from EDC, the Economic Development Corporation for U.S. Sutter. And in their report, their last report, which was the industry snapshot in the city of Yuba City for the quarter of 2018, the fourth quarter, which was the last quarter of last year, that the highest number of employees that we have in Yuba City is, I was kind of really surprised when I saw this. And I think when you look at the report, you'll probably find some good, interesting information on it, that the highest that we had is retail trade. Retail trade, we have over 4,000 plus employees in Yuba City in that particular profession. And then our second, which was healthcare and social assistance, which is about 3,500. And then our third is accommodations and food service, which is about 2,500. Restaurants, yes. So when we look at retail trade, the annual average salary that a person earns is about $29,000. When we look at healthcare and social assistance, now we're looking at $43,000. And then if we look at accommodations and food service, now we're down to $19,000 in annual income. So in looking at the data of what is actually occurring in our community, as we move forward in our general plan and master plan and all those things, that how do we stimulate even more so our economy in Yuba City? And because in the meeting that we had with SACOG, they did mention that our area is a little bit slower to grow in the economy compared to the rest of the region in our area. And so I'm just sharing this information with all of you because I think it's good to look at the data, find out what seems to be our main types of employments in this area. But I also looked at some higher paying types of jobs, and in that you're looking at construction, perhaps 54,000, manufacturing 56,000, but we're looking at about 1,200 jobs of each of those areas. But I found this information really interesting, and I'll forward it on to the rest of you, so we can probably have more discussion at another date. That's all I have to report. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Shaw.
Mr. Mayor, since our last council meeting, I want to say thank you to my fellow council members for covering for me. You guys are great colleagues because I've been in something called tax season, working 12 to 15 hours a day. Hallelujah, I come out of that in 13 days, and then it's in the saddle I go, because with what I do, as I said, we'll be jumping straight into the budget. I'll be spending many days over here at City Hall, going over the budget, looking at different aspects of it to get us prepared for what's coming up in the next couple of months. So with that, I just want to say thank you. I'm looking forward to grabbing the bull by the horns, so to speak. You know, I've been rodeoing as well. And I want to say thank you again for all the help you guys have done. I just do want to comment on Espindola's report there, and we talked about this briefly in our goals and priorities. And it was brought up then that you're right, the economy has not really grown here like it has others. And one thing that we need to do looking forward is, I think, not so much look at what's here, but we really need to start looking forward, what do we want here? And that's the part that's been missing, is we haven't been packaging it well enough to say we want Amazon West Coast headquarters too in Yuba City. You know, I mean, that would be nice, but we got to decide what we want here. And we got to get really inviting to that type of industry and bring those higher paying jobs to bring up our median income. And as it was stated all across, growth in population, growth in median income, growth in jobs, technology, healthcare. There's tons of assets here. That's how we're going to fix this community, and that's how we're going to fix this economy. So thanks for the numbers, and thanks again for all your help. And I'll have more to report at the next one.
Countdown has begun.
It has.
All right. Vice Mayor Cardoza.
All right. I'd like to start with chamber events. I attended the Wine Down Wednesdays, the City Cafe. We had a great turnout there with the ambassadors. Business After Hours, the grocery outlet. The mayor and myself attended that. They've been 20 years in the business. We have new owners, but the business has been 20 years in our community, the grocery outlet. Attended the community event for Save Love. Save Love stands for Sutter and Yuba counties. The Stevens family that owns Stevens Farmhouse, Jeff Stevens, got together and got tired of all the trash in our community. So the last Saturday of every month, they get together and they just randomly go up and down roads. Maybe people let them know, and they pick up all the trash in the community. Recology is being gracious to accept it all. They started off with under 20 people the first time. This second time around, they were over 60, and they're getting bigger and badder as we speak. So it's a great community event. They got, all you got to do is show up. They got the gloves for you. They ask you to have proper footwear and clothing, and then there's a big lunch afterwards. So that's the last Saturday of the month of every month, and they're cleaning up our community little by little. Meetings. Had the Sutter Community Affordable Housing meeting. It was it's budget time also for them also on the affordable housing, so it was strictly finances. I attended the Regional Housing Authority meeting. That was closed session, so I'm done on that one. Can't say much about that. It was closed session in that meeting. Attended the Yuba Center Transit Authority meeting with Councilwoman Espindola. Also attended the Regional Waste Management with the mayor here. I'll let him speak on that little bit after me. SACOG with everybody. The Builder and Commercial Brokers. I attended the LD1 special meeting this morning. There is a score at the river's edge of the levee. It's nothing, it went public. People are a little excited about it. There's nothing to be concerned about. It's been sitting there for 2 years, since 2017. The DWR and powers above didn't think that it was nothing necessarily to fix. They're concerned with the river coming up. They'd like to fix it where they could see it and not wait for the water to come over and try working on the issue underwater. So that's going to be, there's going to be some work down there. It's between Stewart Road and Berry Road against the river. There'll be a few trucks. It's a 3-day project. It's nothing serious. The levee is still safe. There's nothing to worry about. They just want to make sure that this issue is taken care of before it gets any worse. Community and city events. I attended the Waffle Wednesday, the last Wednesday of the month at the Senior Center. Served waffles for a few seniors, had a great fun time. We just had a fire badge pinning earlier tonight. We have 6 brand new firefighters and 1 fire inspector, safety inspector. Friday night, I attended It was called Rise Against Hunger. It's an international hunger relief organization. I helped a group of the Rotary Club and the Key Club. We made 10,000 meals Friday night. Then these were the key clubs from the high school, Yuba City High School, River Valley, and Sutter. So we were there for about 2 hours, made 10,000 meals, and these are going to go all over the world. Anybody that needs meals, that's where all these go to. I attended Friday the every 15-minute program hosted by Yuba City High School. That's kids drinking and driving. They staged a scene of an accident. The aftermath, we had high school students did a great acting job. I mean, it was like it was real. The Yuba City Police Department helped. Our fire department helped. We also had the coroner, Sutter County coroner was there, and the ambulance service. So it was a great presentation. It was like it was real while you were there. We had the students were on one side, and we had a lot of citizens also there that watched it also. Attended the Home and Garden Show, and last but not least, as you can see, I'm a little bit short on top here. I did the St. Baldrick shaving and hair cutting last Saturday, and want to thank council for helping make the donations to help me get to my $1,000 plateau, and I'd like to thank Councilmember Boomgarden for doing the honors. And that's it for me.
Well, I think it looks great.
Nice.
All right. In addition to the many public meetings or events that we attend, I did take some vacation last week. So the week prior, immediately after last council meeting, I did attend SACOG meeting down in Sacramento, and we're discussing the main focus was the 2020 Metropolitan Transportation Plan and Sustainable Community Strategy, which is a big mouthful. But primary out of that, one of the main takeaways was we're talking about not paying taxes necessarily at the pump with your gas prices, but they're going to start taxing us, for lack of a better word, for miles driven. We've heard a little bit of talk about that tonight, and there's been some other talk previously. Main question I had, and we still don't know yet, is how they are going to track how many miles we all drive. I don't know how that's going to happen, but that's a question yet to be answered or approached. No, there was another presentation or a workshop, if you will, on the economic benefits of transportation projects. One of the things that they've identified, and it's no surprise, that access to transportation, public transportation, or mobility is a key to a thriving community. And so as you move forward with plans and different things for your cities, it's important to focus on transportation and access, getting people to and from work, to and from the store, to and from family, friends, you name it, efficiently and hopefully as green as possible. We did talk about the $100,000 non-competitive grant we discussed tonight. Those issues, funding issues. Also, let's see. That is it for SACOG. I am on the, for Cap to Cap coming up in May, I'm on the Civic Amenities Committee. The theme this time, this year, is the hotel industry, a lodging industry. We have yet to have our first meeting for that, but I will be seeking input from our local lodging association through staff to see what issues they may have that I can bring forward on their behalf once we get to Washington, D.C. The Citizens Review Committee for the retirement system unfunded liability, I made some decisions on that. We are moving forward. Still, there is a couple requests made when we brought it up that we begin sooner than later. And I've listened to that, and we're going to honor that. We will get started. We want to put some policy or at least some guidelines in place before we do so, which would include the scope, the role of the group, the resources that are going to be made available, and then the time frames. We'll have a definite beginning and a definite end to the project, also set meeting dates and times. The meetings will be, I'm not going to have necessarily a committee. I made the decision to just make it open meetings. I'm sure we'll have hopefully several people who will attend regularly and provide input, but I think that also provides some level of transparency and allows other people, if they can't attend every meeting, they can at least come and give us their ideas. And that is it. Again, in addition to several community events we've all attended together. So Anything else? All right, that being said, we're adjourned for tonight. Thank you.